supply generators because they have some giant freezer filled with salmon or something, but now you've topped it. There is something more important than the big freezer, and that's being able to flush. We're so dependent on electricity and technology in general. I always have a rule whenever I get a piece of property. It needs to be the highest piece of property around for at least a couple hundred yards in every direction. I'm not quite the highest, but I'm pretty close to the highest. And I just can't believe these people buy these homes in these holes in the ground, particularly towards the south end. There's all these, I thought they were flood areas, and now I see houses and condos built out there. I don't think the flood area changed any. I think they just put the houses and condos there anyway. Well, anyway, I see, it's 47 minutes after the hour, and let's see, the other thing I was going to say is I think, Bert, you're part of what they call in Kaizen a red handle event. Because if you have a technician who never normally sees a new motor go out, and he sees two in one day, given the reputation of that company, I think they've got a real problem, and I would imagine they will freight express your engine back to the factory to figure out what went wrong with it. Anyway, the red handle idea is the idea that in some Japanese manufacturing, if there is a serious recurring problem, anyone in the entire factory, anybody, the guy that sweeps the floor can pull this big giant red handle and just stops everything, and then they all gather around him to say, well, what do you got to say here? And to try and figure this out. So anyway, I hope they figure yours out in a hurry. That was a very interesting time-lapse video you showed. Thank you for showing the piece that I saw there. That was very interesting with the oil jumping around all over. It almost looks like the seal just wasn't in that section where the two pieces of the motor came together. So, okay, so this is James, WW7ATS in Northeast Belgium. Yeah, the temperature is dropping fast here too. So we turn back to Chilly Dave in Seattle, KD7ZYM.
And we'll get a little quick IDN here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. Again, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, anyway, weather being kind of ugly here, but at least we don't have 6 feet of snow like in New York, Western New York. It's a little more than I think anybody can handle. It's going to be quite a while till they get rid of that. And they're saying they don't know where to park it when they clean the streets and try to take that out. They've got no place to dump it. So it's going to be there for a long time. I got a kick out of one of the stories. They were saying some of the places have lost power, but they found out they could build a little igloo in the backyard and put the contents from the refrigerator out there. So they're keeping stuff chilled anyway, even without power. But I don't know, I feel sorry for those that have electric heat, because if power lines are down, you're probably going to be in real trouble. But if you're an oil burner, you're going to have a bill that'll choke a horse. But anyway.
Ronnie, a dull boy, and I sure don't play anymore, so I don't do anything. I used to, fish and hunt, snowmobile, do all kinds of things in the winter, but not anymore. Just, I guess my big hobby now is either I go to the doctor or my wife goes to the doctor. I think I just get them all done and then something else pops up. So anyway, what else? I don't know. So I'm really lucky, Dave. I have my yard guy now that takes care of my leaves. I cut my trees down so I don't have any leaves, but they blow them from the park. But I don't know if he just blew them back to the park or if he raked them all up, but they were all gone around. So anyway, that's nice to have. When I retired, I told my wife if there was one thing I wanted to do, hire somebody to mow the lawn. Man, I've been mowing the lawn for 50, 60 years, and I was tired of mowing the lawn. So I did. I hired somebody to mow the lawn. Boy, that's the best thing I ever did. So I don't know if we're ever going to go digital at the gym, N7QO. We talk about it a lot, but we don't seem to do anything, so I don't know. So if I bought that Mirage amplifier from Gary and got it working, maybe it would put me in a picture that would be worth transmitting so you guys can see it. I don't know. I should be able to get a decent picture, I think. So that's about it here. I would just kind of look at the Oregon game. The Oregon game is on, and the coach was just screaming and yelling at his team. I mean, really screaming and yelling at them. And then I look at the bottom of the screen, and it says targeting. So one of the Oregon players hit the other Oregon player in the head with his helmet. And he got thrown out of the game. And the coach was pretty irate about the whole thing. So anyway. All right, back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU. Let's go on down the list to Bert N7CS.
Man, it's round went by quick. Didn't get anything prepared to say, but yeah, I tried just doing a few other changes. But so yeah, the soft video problem was actually on my side. I didn't realize my YouTube window had it was in automatic mode and it shifted down to 240p. So I forced it to go back to 480p, and it's not quite as soft. Still, I don't know. Still looks a little soft to me though, but it's not as bad as it was. But yeah, just tried a few things. At least it's generally not buffering. But other than that, yeah. So still kind of playing with things. Trying to think if there's anything new going on to talk about. Not really. I just can't think of too much to say. I think we only have a few minutes left though, so I guess I'll say by 73. This is Bert and Marysville in 7CS. Back to that.
7CS. Well, let's go to Richard, K7IGX.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of told you some of my most exciting things. That's to get a decent construction contract when I'm retired, and I don't have to do anything really except collect. I'll have to show people, point. I've already put together a little, instruction, drawings, that kind of thing. But other than that, the only thing I got going for me is just, kind of curious what's going to happen with, right now my latest, I'm targeting a game tomorrow. Maybe the two, if not the two, almost the two worst teams in the world. So the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos are playing, and I say they're terrible because the Raiders got beat, like I think I said Wednesday, by a team that doesn't have a coach. Well, I wouldn't call someone with no experience a coach, but so God, that just blows them. And then of course you've got Russell Wilson, who was the best quarterback here in Seattle for 10 years, and we loved him. And now he can't. It's just a weird, sad story. So I'll be following. It's not televised, but I have my ways. I'll be following it. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Everybody have a great Saturday night and Sunday, and let's just keep marching towards Thanksgiving and all that lovely turkey. K7ITX, back to net control.
Next, we'll try again, W7ATL. We're Wade.
ITL. We can skip me for this round. W7ITL, back to net.
ATL, a pass. Thanks for that. Checking in anyway. Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Ron, thinking about that, if you go back, way back when I had this PC Electronics transmitter, it was a 10 watt, and
and my pictures were just fine. I had color, but they could have been stronger. So then I got this amp that I just showed you here, and you and some others were saying that my picture is actually better without the amplifier. So I went back to that, and then, yeah, you're right. I got from you, Ron, I got a different transmitter with an amplifier. Although the amplifier is an older Mirage, and it's only 22 watts or 24 watts? Anyway, it's only 20 some watts. But it definitely made my picture better until they moved the antenna. And I'm having problems. Trees have grown like wildfire between me and the repeater. So that's a complication. And I think sometimes, like if we get some rain, it will help the leaves lie down flat, and maybe I can get a signal through a little bit better. But then, of course, if it's coming down too heavily, then it's a challenge penetrating the precipitation. But anyway, let's see. Gary also has a different 70-centimeter antenna with approximately a 12-foot boom, something like that. Just another something for you to keep in mind. A combination between a King Kong antenna and an amplifier might be better, but I don't know. Someone might be able to do a plot, a propagation plot between you and Cougar Mountain. That would be interesting to take a look at. Anyway, back to you, Dave, M7QO. 7QO, looking at the clock, it's time to wind down the net for the evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a tone of 103.5 for our voice contacts during our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, signing off the net. Good evening all.